All right, this is Success Leaves Clues on Vincent Koo Live, where together we get to uncover some of the secrets left by successful industry leaders like Veronica Figueroa today. Um, so we could likely figure this all out ourselves, right? But it'll take some more time, it'll take more money, and definitely won't be as much fun. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to see some of our past interviews, visit vincentkoolive.com. So today I have somebody that has been and continues to be a huge inspiration for me and so many others in the industry. She is Inman's most innovative team. She is Remax's Hall of Famer. Most recently, she is NIREP's #3 team for volume, #4 team for units. She shows no sign of slowing down. She is a woman on a mission. Veronica Figueroa, welcome.
Hi, Koo York City. What's up?
What's up? What's up? Thanks so much for taking the time out and sharing with the group, your story. We're excited to hear about it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm a huge fan of yours. You know that.
She shows no sign of slowing down. That's you, huh?
Yeah, wait, I go. Yeah, so I'm excited to do this with you. I mean, you're someone that I've learned so much from. I've had the pleasure of, visiting you in New York and learning from you. And I'm just excited to hopefully give back and add value to anyone who's watching. And, you said woman on a mission. I'm on a mission to elevate our industry and let people know that if they want to thrive in this industry, if I did it, they can do it. So just sharing my story, sharing my journey, to hopefully inspire people to go after their dreams, and if it's not real estate, whatever it is, go after it. And again, to have more people like us show up, right? Like us show up and share our story, our journey, and just dream really, really big.
I love it. So when I met you, you already had a list of accomplishments, like a huge, long laundry list of accomplishments. But you keep pushing for more. Like, what continues to drive you, Veronica?
I it's in my DNA. I give credit to my mom and my dad, how they raised me. My father was a drill sergeant. My mother was just a serial entrepreneur. From the early age of, 12, I worked at her shop, and I was instilled this work ethic that it still is part of who I am today. And I give thanks to them. And I also want to leave a legacy for my children. I want to build something that, lives beyond me and my parents. I retired them, almost 10 years ago. And that was my promise to them. So I was like, I want them to live the best life that they can live, and, just be there for the people that trust me and my agents. And, I guess to me, success doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't have an expiration date where I have to say, I made it. Like, I've never really made it. I'm still every day figuring this out. I'm on a journey. This is not a destination or a stop where I get off the train of success, at least not for now. And hopefully when I am ready, I can have a successor, and I can have built up other leaders that I can hopefully pass it on so that they can embark on their journey. So, what fuels me every day is just, I think it's the work ethic that I was given from my parents, and then the people that I do it with every day inspire me to keep on going. So for me, it's just like, I've never made it. I wake up every day on the grind, every day wanting to push myself. I'm not in competition with anyone else. I'm in competition with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'll look back at what I did, and I'm like, did I really accomplish what I set out for? Could I have done better? What else do I have in me to give? And that's what I love about, this journey that we're all on. We're all learning from each other. We're inspiring each other. So I got a lot of work to do. I'm not done yet. I'm just now getting started.
So where did you start? I mean, did you just jump into a big operation right from the beginning?
No, I was just like every agent who started in their career. I was just trying to figure it out. I was part-time, and, I was trying to balance a career. I was going through divorce. I, was just trying to figure it out. I was just trying to pay the bills. But then I fell in love with the industry. I come from a human resources background, a hospitality background. I knew I loved people. I loved developing people. But it didn't pay the bills. Once you're going through a divorce, you start panicking, and my kids were in private school. And, I knew I didn't want my children to suffer just because of the decisions I had made to, not stay in a marriage that, wasn't aligned with, maybe the future I wanted to build. And all I wanted to do was just provide for my kids. That's all I wanted to do. I had no vision on us becoming this team. I couldn't even see past that. I just was looking at one transaction at a time. I couldn't see beyond at that moment what today would look like at all. I would have never.
I heard a story, and I just need you to verify if it's true or tell it to us. I heard a story about you gambling with your last $5,000. You want to share that with us?
Yeah. So during the market crash in 2008, man, it was just survival mode. It was, how do you eat? And if those of you who have been in the industry long enough to know what it felt like for the 2008 crash, and knowing that you didn't know if you were going to get paid or not, you were selling short sales, and if you could get your hand on an REO account, it was like the golden ticket. And I took a gamble. I took a risk. I had an asset manager reach out to me and gave me a shot. It was super competitive and kind of gave me a really good shot. And he says, look, if you can take care of this one asset, and he gave me the crappiest asset. I mean, we had to rip the drywall 4 feet up. It was cat infested. That house needed gutting. I didn't have money. And remember, back then you had to fund your own repairs. So I had to fund these repairs. I had to call anybody that I knew had money. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna get you a return on your investment. And I was like, I need this account. So I funded the repairs. We got the property. We sold it for top dollar. That was the one asset. And mind you, they gave me that crappy asset because probably the people that they had in our market didn't want it.
Right.
I looked at this as an opportunity that I was like, I'm going to hold on to. Well, they gave me that one asset, and it was like, I'm waiting. I'm like, is there any more? I'd like to sell more houses. And, short sales were taking forever to close. So I took a leap of faith. I took my little last bit of money that I had. I think it was the money that I made from that closing and a couple other things. And I said, I'm flying to Texas and I'm going to go meet this person. And I'm assuming that they know other asset managers. So I'm going to ask him to invite the other asset managers. And I rented out a bowling alley and I threw a networking event for them. And I wanted them to know, I was like, hey, Florida obviously is one of your accounts. My name is Veronica Figueroa. I want your business. Put me to work. Test me. And I want to know every asset manager that you know too. So then, we went, had dinner, a little bit of dinner here and there, got to know what they were looking for. And my husband says, if we don't get this account, like, honestly, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't even know if we could fly back. I said, don't worry, we got this. Because I'm always that believer. I'm like, yes, we can do this. I said, don't worry, we got this. And we came back home to, I think it was 37 assets all that next week. And it was crazy. We took a leap of faith and,
from that one asset manager or did you
company, we came back to the floodgates opening and they were introducing us to others and the floodgates opened. The only kicker was that, I have a big mouth and I have a lot of ambition. So I was like, yeah, we can help you in Florida. Of course we can help you in Florida. They gave us assets all over Tampa, Ocala, Miami, Florida, Orlando. So then next thing you know, I had to build teams all over. I was like, oh, be careful what you ask for.
You didn't turn any of them down.
I didn't turn any of them down.
4 miles away, 4 hours away, and you said no problem.
No problem. So we just, we're scrappy. We're scrappy, and I started building teams all over. And if you have blood running through your veins, you were my, you were rekeying a property or doing a property inspection for me or, helping me take pictures for BPOs. It was crazy, but it were good times. And, it was that story of, it wasn't about winning in the asset management game. It was about feeding my family. And I think that's where it goes back to, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to feed my family. I'm going to do whatever it takes to fulfill the promises for the people who trust me. And that was no different than anything else that I've done. I'm like, if I've always had confidence when it comes like, oh, sign me up, I could do that. And if I don't know how to do it, I want to figure it out and learn. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, we've been able to have such a successful career, because we're open-minded to opportunities. We're open-minded to testing things. And, you just can't tell me no. If you tell me no, I'm going to be like, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with falling on my face. I'm okay with falling on my face.
Was that the birth of the team?
Huh?
Was that the birth of the Figueroa team?
That was the birth of the True team. Prior to that, I'd done a couple things like, here, I got a lead, a referral here. But that's where the real birth came from, where I realized, okay, I have to have something that's organized. I started, again, having a process, systems in place, and it wasn't just me. And I had to be held accountable, because as quickly as you could get that account, even though it's not quick, it's not easy to get them, you could lose them. You could definitely lose them, because they're looking for results, performance, systems, processes, and accountability was really, really important. And that's really the inception of building something massive that at the moment, again, I was just trying to feed my family. I had no idea what I was signing myself up for, but I'm super proud of what we were able to accomplish. And a decade later, we're still here and stronger than ever.
So tell me the progression. You went from independent agent to you established the Figueroa team out of necessity, because you have these assets that now you have to take care of, and eventually you became the broker owner, or were you the broker owner at the time?
So I had originally gotten my broker's license right after 2 to 2.5 years when I became licensed, right after I'd been in the business for about 2.5 years, because I worked for a broker that unfortunately wasn't a great example of a broker. During the crash, during the market crisis, he left a lot of agents without paying them their commission. And I saw a lot of people that I knew that I saw suffer, that really were relying on that, and they were left hanging, and thank God I was only shorted, I think like $3,000 at the time. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go open my own thing. I'm not going to, be victim to a shiesty broker at the time. It was just, it was hard times back in 2007, 8, and 9. And I just saw a lot of ugly sides of people where greed was just something that was not, it was overwhelming to see how many people got left high and dry. So in 2000, I think 7 or 8, I opened my own little shop. It was really just for me and a couple other agents that I would send business to. And I realized early on, Vince, and we're going to talk about this later on, is I wasn't the best broker. I was a really great real estate agent, but I was not the best broker. I only opened my brokerage by necessity. I had no desire to be a broker. And I did it, and we did well. And then eventually I realized I don't want to be a broker. It was a lot of babysitting. Even with a small little group, it was great dreaming, but I was like, nah, I don't have the systems. I don't have the processes. Back then, it wasn't like now that we have an app for everything, or you can get a website for like $49, whatever, where over there was like 25,000 back then. There was no. Yeah.
You spent a good amount of time as a broker, didn't you? What was it, like a decade?
Well, at first I did it, and then I closed it up a year and a half or later. Then I went to go work for Keller Williams for a brief stint. A lot of people don't know that. And something happened with that team leader where it was just not the best fit. It wasn't aligned with their mission of how they were running their office at the time. And I brought my brokerage into Keller Williams at the time. And then I realized I had just gotten those REO accounts. So this is right around that time. And I moved them over to another brokerage who, again, just hang your license. You don't have to pay much here. Not a problem. Supposedly 100% company, but I was paying them a $750 flat fee for it. So I realized, I was like, damn, I paid them a lot of money in such a short time. But really what came down to is the brokerage started trying to go after some of our REO accounts. And I just was like, you know what, this isn't for me. So I decided to reopen shop, and that's where my boutique office came into play right before I opened my Remax. So I was a boutique for about 3 years. We in the same community that we're in today. So we've been here over a decade. And we loved it. We thrived. I mean, we became the hometown office. We started, thriving. We were crushing it in REO. We were crushing it in short sales. And then we started really diving deep into the traditional market. And I added my passion of marketing and just being in the community and like omnipresence. Like you could see me everywhere, right? That was really important to me and fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. Again, the brokerage side of thing wasn't always my favorite, but the people and the community and seeing something to come to life was my happy space. That made me happy. So I was willing to take some of the responsibilities and pressure that came along with running the brokerage because I was fulfilled in the other areas of my business. I was still in production and, I was helping agents and I was really involved in the community. So then fast forward, I decided to explore what was next in my career. And I remember saying, what's the next best thing, right? And like, what company do I look up to? And at that point, I would look at RE/MAX agents. Like they were like the holy grail. I was like, oh my God, RE/MAX agents. I think they're amazing. And to me, they still are. And I love Adam Contos, the CEO, and it's a great company. But for me, I went to RE/MAX and I said, they're never going to sell me a franchise. I'm just a boutique brokerage here. I probably don't have any, enough production. And I did. I surpassed what they were looking for. And I then started realizing, I was like, wait, there's not one in my market. And there's not one that's owned by many Hispanic women in my market. And I was like, this has to change. So I called a friend who also I knew from the REO days, and she owned one. I picked her brain and, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this out. I bought it. I closed on the franchise and it was an amazing journey. It was great. We became recruiting machines. We became leaders in our community. We got really plugged into the network and just started crushing it. And I'm super competitive. So I wrote a letter to myself stating that I was going to be one of their top brokers, 35 agents and less, before the age of 35. I don't remember what I wrote, but and that I was going to be, I kind of visualization and manifestation. I wrote it. I was just like, this is what's going to happen. And we crushed a lot of our goals at RE/MAX and grew. And man, that some of the best years of my career were lived at RE/MAX, and I'm super grateful for everything that I learned there. And they gave me a shot. They gave this girl who just had this crazy little vision a shot, and I'm forever going to be grateful.
Yeah, you know what it is? I feel like you speak to so many groups, organizations, and communities. I mean, you're definitely you empower women, right? You empower the Latino community, all minorities, right? But just business owners in general. Then you got the whole team, the groups of teams and even broker owners, right? So that your ability to just reach so many people and communicate with so many people, I find super impressive.
Thank you.
You've taken some risks along the way, moving yourself, spending that last bit of money. Are you still taking risks now?
Oh, every day I take risk. And, one of the bigger risk, obviously, that I took recently was moving my company, selling my RE/MAX franchise to one of my good friends and who was a top producer in our office. I sold my franchise, and my office is right across the street from theirs now, in the same community that I built my brand, built the office. I sold it, and I moved my business over to EXP. And that same week, I also launched Zillow Offers as a Zillow broker partner through their iBuying program. And I also did a rebrand, and I also did all of that at once. Wow. That was a huge risk. If I had to say, that was one of the biggest risks that I've taken amongst all the different risks that I've taken. And it's so rewarding to look back and say, at least I followed my intuition. I followed my heart. And, if it doesn't scare me, it really doesn't usually motivate me. So it scared me. It was scary, but it fueled me. I was like, I could figure this out. I can do this.
How much of that, Veronica, was calculated and how much was straight passion and drive?
I think that was a mix of both. Of, strategy, thinking things through, really planning. coming up with solutions because I'm very solutional. I don't go by a whim either. Like there are always strategy, right? And solution and like, what if this, what if that? How do we make this work? Someone says no to me. I'm like, yes, how? We just got to figure out how. So there was a combination of some things. And, some of that I think was serendipity and the universe was being amazing to me because like when we first met and even our announcement, I mean, I found out the day that I was at EXP Summit when they reached out to me and they said, hey, we want you to come on stage. And my announcement was on stage and that was not calculated. That was not planned. That was the real estate gods looking over me.
A little bit of grace, right?
Yeah, that was really, really a blessing that I couldn't have imagined. And then my team put together this amazing party and it was in Orlando during the Orlando Summit. I mean, the EXP Summit. So again, this isn't about our company and where we're at today, but for me, again, it was all about going after a dream and going after what you want and a little bit of strategy, a little bit of heart and a little bit of grace from, the universe above us. So it was scary times. And then also my relationship with Zillow has always come with a lot of backlash. There have been some
from your real estate community, from your other broker owners and agents.
Yeah, I think that, it's hard for a lot of agents to understand, sometimes why I would embrace such a strong partnership with what many consider a threat. But, I've always been someone to lean into things and be curious and say, well, how is this going to work? Like, and does it work? And before I say it doesn't work, let me test it. So for me, it's always been something I'm always willing to poke holes at things and be like, let me see. And I don't take someone else's opinion for what it is. I have to explore it myself. So that was, that's always been something that I've not struggled with. People have struggled with understanding and people have been mean. Some people have been mean and cruel, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm focused on my tribe, the people who love me, the people who trust me, the people who I'm for. So as long as those are, making opportunities, the phones ringing, we're helping families. I really don't have to prove anything to anyone else other than my tribe. But yeah, those risks, I've always leaned into them because I'm curious and I love to try new things.
Did you, when did you start looking for somebody else in the industry to, I guess, go to, say, like a coach? Did you have a coach as an individual agent? Did you start coaching late in your career?
Yeah, so I think I've always been curious. So I always had all these mentors. When I first started out, what I would do is I would go to lunch with top producers. I would invite them to lunch and ask them if I can pick their brain. And you'd be amazed how many people want to help you. And I was just always kind to the co-broking agents. I was always kind to people who had a lot of inventory and just say, hey, look, I'm so impressed with what you're doing. Like, I aspire to be like you one day. I never looked at people who were more successful than me as a threat. I always look at them, I was like, man, if I could just learn from you. I would love to just, be an example of what you have already accomplished. And I think that there's a special gift for the people who can embrace that and really want to give back to people. So that's how I first started because I couldn't afford coaching at the time. Then my first coach that I ever hired was Mike Ferry. And that was where I was like, I want to be great at scripting. I want to be great in, I want to have more appointments. I want to outperform. I want to just help more sellers sell their homes, and Mike Ferry organization was the very first coaching that I officially hired. And then right after that, again, that was more for me. And then I would use that and I would train my agents and we became kind of like a Mike Ferry organization, a lot of top talent there. And I'm super grateful for what I learned with that training. So that was around 2014. I said, I need more. I'm good, but I'm not good enough. I need more. And I want to be around people who can hold me accountable. So for me, coaching was about accountability and also learning more. Then my next coach, which to this day I still am super grateful for, an amazing coaching platform, was Corcoran Consulting. Because by now I had enough business and now I was growing a team, but I needed leadership training. I needed executive training on systems, team agreements, processes, accountability, onboarding. And I didn't know what the hoot I was doing. I really didn't. I was like just winging it. And then until I spoke to Bubba Mills, who's someone who's been my mentor from back in the REO days, and he was running Corcoran Consulting. And what I did, Vince, is I looked at the people that I respected, or I wanted to emulate, or I just thought were running really big businesses or lives, or had a life by design that I aspired to have. And at that time, it was actually the Duncan duo. They're out of Tampa. They were such great mentors. And I just started seeing that they were coaching with some people that I knew. And I was like, wait, success leaves clues. They're with them. I know Bubba. I called Bubba I remember it was December. And the very next day, they were having a mastermind in New Orleans. And he said, if you get out here, we are very selective as to who we let in the program. But if you get out here, I'll personally get you involved and I'll plug you in. Called Tony. I looked at Tony. I said, babe, we're going to New Orleans. Hopped on a flight that same night. We're in New Orleans the next day for the next 3 days. And life-changing, game changer. Started really working on being a leader, working on the business, not in it. And that's how I was able to get myself out of production, just being in proximity with other people who had done it. And it wasn't that I don't love production. It was now I embarked on a journey of leadership. I was embarking on a journey of leadership, and I was trying to be a leader, but also in production. And so there was, I think, some conflict there internally where I was like, I have to make a decision. Am I going to help build future leaders of tomorrow, or do I want to say that I'm a leader, but I'm still in production? So something had to give. And I did my first transition out of production my final transition was I hired a listing partner. And that was, me. And at the time I was selling about 95 homes a year by myself as far as listings. I was in production and I was a great listing agent, or at least I think I was. And then I knew I was like, okay, well, I would be better suited if I can help someone do the same thing I did and then recreate that over and over again. And Corcoran Consulting really helped me. Then I took a break from them after we had what I feel learned, a lot, and really were proud of what we had accomplished. And about almost 3 years ago, I would say 2.5, 3 years ago, I met John Cheplack. I knew of him. I never really had an opportunity to meet him, but I knew of him. And again, success leaves clues. I had been rubbing elbows with a lot of top agents across the country. And my good friend, Anthony Lamacchia, called me. And he said one day, you need to call John and you need to coach with him. And I was like, done. If you say it, if he's helping you. And we had some similar goals and similar passions. And another friend of mine, John, had helped him. And I was ready for a new type of mentoring and coaching. I was ready for growth in a level that I had never imagined, which was personal development, leadership development, accountability in a way that was true accountability. And so John has been my coach for almost 3 years. And yeah, he's amazing.
You did something recently that, that I found very interesting. What you did was you shared your coach. You actually took your time, your coaching time, and I know how expensive those coaching sessions are, and you opened that up and shared it with, essentially the industry, right? What was the thought process behind that?
During the pandemic, I think it was scary for all of us. It was so scary, and I just felt that I needed to show up as a leader. I needed to give back. I've had so many people give back to me and bless me that I wanted to bless it forward. And I know John's heart, and I know how much he cares about the industry. And I asked him, I said, is this something that you're okay with? And then I love it because now other people have done it. And I said, okay, so how many people do we plan for? Like a couple hundred? He was like, what? He was like, 1,000. And I was like, 1,000? I was like, you think? And next thing you know, it went from 200 to 300 to 400 to 500 to 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000 people. And it just showed me people were looking for community. People were looking for leadership at that time. People were looking for a sense of security. And the fact that I opened it up to someone that's obviously extremely sought after and that is very limited, you know, because John's coaching program is specifically with John. He doesn't have other coaches, so he can only scale himself so much. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But it was really the content that people got, the message behind it. I had so many people say, thank you. I needed to hear that. Thank you. I'm excited to take action. And I wanted to do my part. I don't want to say that I'm a leader in the industry or that I have a passion for the industry, but not give back. And what better time to give back during one of the scariest times that any of us in our generation will live. I didn't care what company you were with. I don't care if you were with ABC Realty to Remax to Keller to, it didn't matter to me. I wanted to give back because it was what my heart was telling me was the right thing to do. And it has turned out to be such a blessing. And I love seeing other people do it now. And, you know, it's the least that I can do. I've been super blessed. Like, it's my duty and obligation to give back.
Yeah, that really was a great experience, and you know, and I love seeing that other people follow your lead and your example. Right. So you recently hit a milestone with your team, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of that celebration. Tell us about what you achieved.
During the pandemic scare, we pivoted as a team really, really quickly. And I was extremely scared, just like most of us all were. If you don't admit that you were scared, I think you're lying. You know, it was scary. So I had a couple days where I had a funk like anyone else. I had to think, I had to process. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, we got to get our act together. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a daily huddle every morning at this time. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have accountability checkpoints. We're going to do this. I learned again from other people. I have a great friend, Chris Lindahl, who said he kind of put out a challenge for his team. I said, guys, I love you, but I'm concerned. If we do not develop the habits that are needed to get through this, many of you guys are not going to eat in the next 90 to 120 days. And it is my duty and obligation to make sure we keep this moving and that you have business when we get out of this and during this. And if something's out of our hands, that's fine. I understand financing is right now going through some challenges. I understand people are scared. But if anything is in our control is our habits. So we're going to show up. We're going to hold each other accountable. We're going to train as if nothing is happening. We're going to continue to train. We're going to continue to coach. We're going to continue to show up. We're going to continue to be leaders. And because I'm on a mission to make sure that you guys get paid in the next 90 days. Well, the biggest month we've ever had as a team, we closed 69 transactions just in I think it was March. But that was obviously January, February business, right? So then the pandemic happens. We celebrated 100 contracts in May. And this is business that happened all during the COVID scare, obviously, in the pandemic. And I still believe to this day, it is because of the habits and the commitment that our agents were willing to do during one of the most difficult times. And they showed up. They arrived. They were committed. And that milestone, it gives me chills just thinking about it, because it's not about the money. It's about the 100 families that we service. It's about what the grit. It's about the commitment that they made. And it proved that your habits will have a direct impact on your economy or your outcome. Your actions will show up. The results will show up. And last year in May, we wrote 46 contracts. This year, 100. And, you know, it just went to show that when you are willing to step out of your comfort zone, and it was hard for me, like I had to wake up every morning, have energy, you know, coach my team virtually, coach everyone virtually, and still have energy and be positive and figure out where we were going to pull this energy from. I mean, it was hard, but they delivered, and I'm so proud of them, and for all the families who trusted us. And still
and knowing you, I mean, this is not something that you hit and all of a sudden pull back on, I feel like you just created a new baseline for your group.
Yeah. So, it's now that things are opening up, people are like, hey, are we still doing the call? I'm like, oh yeah, we're still doing that call every morning. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're still doing video. Let's go. We're still doing these. It's a new normal for us. There are certain things we're never going to go back to. There are certain things we're not going to stop doing. And we shouldn't. So, yeah, it's a new baseline. I'm super competitive.
So what's the future for you, Veronica, and your team?
Our team, man, we have some pretty awesome opportunities in front of us with our partnerships that we've gotten into business with, our acquisition accounts. We're looking for talent. We're looking for the agent of the future. We're looking to partner with agents in our local market who want to be coached, who want to be held accountable, who wants to grow. We have a lot of opportunities in front of us. And right now we have a team of right around 40 plus staff. Before the end of the year, we do believe we'll have a team of 100 agents that will cover a big region in Central Florida because it's necessary, because of the demand. And then, obviously growing with our partners across the country. And just building new leaders, really coming up with some really awesome ways to be that team of the future, which I'm excited about. We just brought on a success. I think his position is a success and systems architect to help identify the talents of the agent of the future and really making sure that we're supporting their business and understanding what are the behavioral patterns of a top producer and how we can recreate that over and over again while still managing our lead flow and properly distributing it to the right agents. So, I geek out on this stuff. A lot of people don't know that. Sometimes people think I'm just a big mouth. I geek out on this stuff. You put me in a think tank or you put me in a room and give me a pen. Give me a dry erase board and a marker and I'm at it. And, I had a vision of the type of position that I wanted to help take us into the future. Because here's the thing. I know that we've sold quite a few homes, but I know that we're not going to sell the amount of homes and service the amount of families and the amount of agents that we're wanting to, doing the same things that we were doing before. Like, we have to do certain things that are different. So for us, just acquiring talent. And, in my world now is like, there is no B players. I only want to work with A players. Like A players, and you don't have to be in real estate an A player. You just have the A player mindset, A player drive, and I'm going to invest in you and let's go. Let's create, let's be the change for the industry and service more families and make our business better and elevate our industry. So that's
now, Veronica, are you developing new talent?
Yeah.
Are you, brand new, fresh out of school, that type of
I'll take them green, baby. They just got to be the right who. Not all the time do they work out, but for me, they just got to be the right person. Give me the person, give me the will. I'll teach the skill. I've always said that.
I love it. And I love how much you share with the entire industry and how much you share with me. So we've got a good group watching, and this recording will continue to live on. Hoping that everybody that does watch, just puts that one nugget that they got from Veronica into the comments. Let us know that you were listening. But do you want to leave the group with one last tip, one last clue?
You said it earlier, success leaves clues. You are aligned with Vincent or you're watching this, it's because he is an amazing leader. He's super successful. I've met his team. I've seen what he's done in New York and across the country. So I'm honored to be in proximity with you and know that you push me. You push me. I push you. Success leaves clues. And the only thing that can happen is that we all just become more successful together, not only in life, in habits, in business. So I'm honored to call you a friend and know that I am able to share with your platform, what we've done. And if we can do anything to help, we're here. We're just a phone call away.
Appreciate it so much, Veronica. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll talk very soon.
Yes.
All right. Take care, everybody.